also in the gallery, 15 members of the Siwaju group of Ede North, South, East, Bedore, Ijibo Federal Constituency of Osun State. They are already standing. There's a round of applause for them. Professor Mojit, thank you for coming. Kindly take your seats. What group is this, Professor Mojit? Are they your age mate?
Honorable Speaker. Oh, okay, they are my constituents, representative of youths and women organizations from the north and the south, Ebedore and the Jibo Federal Constituency. They came to felicitate with me, and I think they should also felicitate the whole House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You are a real politician. I only got to know on the floor that they are coming to felicitate with me. Okay, thank you for coming. Also, we have in the gallery members of one campaign in Nigeria. If they are there, could they please stand up for recognition? Round of applause for them. Chairman Committee of Health will soon join us, and he's intimated me already that you're here. So you're welcome. Kindly take your seats. Also, I will announce additional membership into the Committee on Stamp Duties. The original mover of the motion before the motion was taken was Honorable D.C. Hosea, so he can join as a member, and Honorable Olatubosun Olajide Boladele. Any member who has a petition to present to the House may please rise to do so. Honorable Professor Mojit Alabi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have this petition from the Awo Community Development Association, signed by the chairman of the community, against the Nigerian Army for unlawful acquisition of their land, and asking the House for two main reliefs: that they are seeking the good office of this House to ask the Nigerian Army, the Ministry of Defense, and other related government agencies to kindly release our land. Mr. Speaker, I beg to present the petition.
Okay, Prof, please proceed and lay the report. Any more petitions? No petition. Petition referred to the Committee on Public Petitions. Next is a point of order from Honorable Ahmed Dayebu Safana. Honorable Safana, please move your point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Ahmed Dayebu Safana, representing Safana Bazali, the Musa Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, I'm coming under Rule 8, Order 8, Rule 46. Mr. Speaker, the people of my constituency, whom I represent, are presently living in a great fear for their lives due to persistent killing of their loved ones and gruesome attacks inflicted on them by heavily armed robbers. So that's why I want to take this. I want to plead with the my honorable colleagues to allow me to take it under this rule so that we discuss and find a lasting solution to it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
First is the motion that the matter should be considered as urgent. Honorable Aisha Jibril Duku.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My highly respected colleagues, I'm Honorable Aisha Jibril Duku, Gimbiar Duku, member representing Dukuna for the Federal Constituency. I come from Gombe State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion ably moved by Honorable Savannah to say that this motion is very, very important. We suspend our rules to take it. I so second.
You are seconding first that the matter is urgent and should be considered. So I'll put the question to that limb of the motion. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Now seconded to the motion that we suspend our rules. Honorable Barrister Soba. Are you no longer a barrister?
Yeah.
Once I say Honorable Barrister, you should assume that the next name will call you Soba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Honorable Muhammad Musa Soba. I represent Soba Federal Constituency. I rise to support the second leg of the motion moved by Honorable Savannah. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion that we suspend our rules to enable him to take the motion now, say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Safana, you can now move the motion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, my honorable colleagues. The motion is on the urgent need for federal government intervention on the ongoing wanton killing of innocent persons and destruction of properties, armed robbery and kidnapping by heavily armed bandits operating within Savannah Bakari Dambusa Federal Constituency of Katsina State. The House, not with dismay, the ongoing attacks on various communities within Savannah Bakari Dambusa Federal Constituency of Katsina State by heavily armed bandits who continuously unleash mayhem against my constituency on daily basis. Also note that the recent spate of the said attacks on members of my constituency has reached an alarming stage as the perpetrators of this deadly act continuously kill innocent persons in my constituency and set their home ablaze, while defenseless men and women are abducted to unknown destination. Worried that up to 4 villages within my constituency are currently under attack. In the last 48 hours, up to 4 villages under my constituency are currently attacked, namely Kasai village in Bakari local government area, where no fewer than 5 persons have been killed. Al-Azhar village in Savannah local government had been totally displaced. Kuzra village in Savannah local government also had several persons murdered in cold blood, and just yesterday, Gobra village came under attack with not fewer than 12 people dead, littered in the bush, while many are still missing. Also worried that this killing have continued unabated, and this bandit seems to be unstoppable, with a specific instance that Gobra village in Savannah local government, where the brave villagers were forced to abandon the corpses during the burial as compared for safety when they sighted the bandits coming back to launch another offensive. Disturbed that these bandits, who operate both on night and broad daylight on motorbikes, parade sophisticated weapons, including AK-47, assault rifles, and other dangerous weapons, which they use in committing this crime against my constituents. Concerned that despite persistent cries from the affected communities, the security operatives appear not being proactive, especially on security tip-off, and most times fail to respond promptly. Cognizant that the fundamental duty of any government is the protection and preservation of lives and property by being responsive in the face of this type of cruelty and atrocities committed against citizens. Aware that this is the constitutional duty and the responsibility of this hallowed chamber to take action whenever these levels of inhuman and brutal attacks are being inflicted on any community or group of people. Resolved to urge the federal government to declare a state of emergency in Sabanaba Karida Musa Federal Constituency as an immediate step in containing the evil activities of the Hamli and bandits. 2. Call on the federal government to deploy the military to the areas under attack to assist the police and other security agencies in flushing out these criminal elements operating in my constituency. 3. Also urge the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to urgently provide relief materials to victims of this attack in line with Section 6J of NEMA Act. I so move, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Second, Honorable Doye Diri.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, my esteemed colleagues. I remain Diri Doye. I rise to second the motion as ably moved by my colleague. I so second.
Honorable Safana, please lead the debate. Can you speak to your mic, please? Can you speak to your mic?
What is happening really in my constituency today is a real big problem. And my constituents are crying hard like nobody is hearing them. It might be recalled that I brought a motion sometimes in 2015 and 2008. I also raised an alarm about 2 months ago of the continuous killing in this constituency. But honestly, much is not being done, because in a situation whereby criminals will be cited by villagers before the attack, and they will call the authority concerned to inform them, but you find out that even after informing them, the criminals might stay more than an hour or 2 hours before they launch the attack, and there will be nobody there to save these people. Like what happened just yesterday, the people that were killed day before yesterday, 12 of them, the dead bodies were found in the bush, and the villagers or their brothers and relatives wanted to give them a befitting burial in the morning of yesterday. But on reaching the graveyard, the villagers sighted at the bandits again, planning to come and launch another fresh attack. So they had to run away, leave the dead body, and leave the graveyard. And as at this time, all the time they were to bury these people, there was nothing like security men in the village. And surprisingly, within my constituency in a particular local government, there are 300 or more than 300 military men stationed in Batari local government, doing nothing. They are just parading within the town. And when they are called upon to come and give assistance in this type of problem, they tell local government caretaker committee chairman there that they are not giving order to do that. So honestly, there is a very serious problem. And these people come in a group of hundreds. Sometimes they come with 150, 200 vehicles with 3 people on them, on the machines, and about almost everybody is carrying AK-47. So honestly, my constituency is in a very serious danger, and I want this hollowed chamber to help me out of this problem. The military are there, but definitely they are not doing what they're supposed to do. We are very much aware of the Operation Sharadaji that was recently launched. We're supposed to cover Zamfara, Kaduna, and part of Katsina. But to our dismay, they are there, but these things are happening and nothing is being done. So that's why I feel the only way to help these my people out is to come and cry before my honorable colleagues, to this honorable chamber, so that we'll find a lasting solution to it. As it is today, most of my constituent people are moving away from their villages. And the way things are going, I don't think they can be able even to go to the farm this rainy season. So that is why I brought this issue before this honored chamber. I wish and I urge you members of this honorable house to kindly assist me by accepting my prayers. Thank you very much.
Take out your mic. Who wants to speak? Okay, Honorable Nena Okeji.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir, for yielding the floor to me. My name is Nena Elendu KJ, member representing Bende Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm from Abia State. Mr. Speaker, may I start by saying that my heart goes out to my colleague who has brought this motion before the House. And again, his prayers are that the House intervenes and finds a lasting solution to this problem. Mr. Speaker, the picture that my colleague paints is a very gory picture, where his community, his constituency has been attacked by bandits again, and the people are not even given them the opportunity to bury their dead. So it's almost as if they're killing them all over again. But Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm a little worried about the fact that every so often, intermittently, we have motions similar to this. Mr. Speaker, there's so many conversations on the floor of the House, there's so many conversations in our homes, there's so many conversations on social media platforms about the fact that Nigeria is descending into anarchy. Mr. Speaker, the conversation about the North Central seems to be ebbing in the national discourse as far as lack of security is concerned. And the Northwest has taken over. There's so many conversations about illegal mining and so on and so forth. But at every point in time, Mr. Speaker, I must say that we call on the military to quell these attacks. And I think that what we're doing is we're reacting to the issues after the fact, rather than dealing with the fact that this is a recurring decimal. The Northwest is going up in flames. The Northeast it's a continuing conversation, and the North Central, of course, has its own intermittent attacks. And so for me, as far as I'm concerned, Mr. Speaker, sir, yes, we can deploy the soldiers, but again, the conversations about just how ready are soldiers to tackle these issues continue to come up. What are the constitutional duties of the Nigerian army? Those conversations continue to come up. How prepared is the Nigerian police to tackle the internal security issues? Those conversations continue to come up. And why is it at this time that our country's security apparatus seems to be throwing up its hands and the country is literally going to hell in a handbasket? Mr. Speaker, I believe that aside from the military interventions, there must also be social, economic interventions to these areas. We need to properly diagnose the problems so that we can proffer the solutions to these problems. Are these people Nigerians? What are we doing about securing our borders? What have we done about arresting any of these people? Has anybody ever been arrested for this? If they have been arrested, what have we done with them? What are we doing as a country to tackle these issues rather than continuing the conversation about protecting the people when our military we know is overstretched? Mr. Speaker, I believe that quite aside from what it is we do as far as security is concerned, I believe that education is also very, very important. Reason I say this, Mr. Speaker, and what I'm about to say may be extremely controversial. But, Mr. Speaker, I believe that if the United Nations figures are anything to go by, and we're a country of 200 million, by the year 2030, we're going to be a country of 300 million. And by the year 2050, they project we're going to be a country of 411 million Nigerians. Of that number, 70% are below the age of 40. Of that number, which makes them, as of today, 139 million. Of that number in the north, Mr. Speaker, so we have 70% of that number uneducated, unmanned, unschooled, and therefore unemployable. Mr. Speaker, if we do not do something about human resource development, then parts of our country will continue to be fertile ground for people who want quick money and people who go there to recruit people for quick wins. Mr. Speaker, we cannot continue to have these conversations. Kidnapping has become exceedingly lucrative. Today, I was listening and they were charging 60 million for the UBEC chairman. I don't know if they paid 60 million or 13 million. It is more lucrative than any job in Nigeria. What are we doing about those things? I believe that we must start to have proper conversations, not continue to talk about the effects of the problem. But unless we have proper conversations about population control, education, human resource development, and arrest in a way that disincentivizes Nigerians from continuing to do these things. Unfortunately, this House is always going to have these conversations and continue to seek intervention. Again, my heart goes out, but we must stand up the military, we must stand up the police, we must have true open conversations about the reasons for these things and not continue to talk about the consequences of the conversations that we refuse to have. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Lasso Yusuf. I represent the Repodun Olorunda Orulu Osogbo Federal Constituency. I'm from the state of Osun. Yes, the motion is important, and if you consider the last 8 years of this assembly, we have had so many motions on killings. And because human lives are involved, and all of us are human beings, you obviously going to sympathize and condole with the families of those who, in such circumstances, must have lost their loved ones. But while the mover of the motion was speaking, I was just thinking of what to say if I want to add my voice. And I've just listened to Inena Elendu KJ now, and she touched everything. Mr. Speaker, one of the major problems of governance in Nigeria is our inability to transit from a particular station to another station. That's the major problem we have with governance. And once those of us in government cannot have programs or put policies in place that will make us to transit from one station to the other, we begin to have these consequences like she said. Like for example, killing. Is there any document in the last, say, 10 years that actually show us why people are being killed and who are those killing them? No document. So you can never tell whether it is basically because of the harassment. You can't tell because it's communal matters. You can't tell whether it is social or economic matter because there is no document to follow. And one begins to wonder,
In fact, the Nigeria I know of today, if you want to read any statistics about Nigeria, you either refer to UN or international bodies. The statistics about Nigeria are not present with Nigerians. And what he just read out was the front page of one of the newspapers yesterday, where they begin to say our population is so much in 1960 something, we are so much now. But let us even forget about being 200 million people now. 100 million people itself on its own is massive. You want to cater, all of us are family men. If you want to cater for 2 children alone, you know what it takes. Not to talk about having just, let me take the base factor. In mathematics, we talk about lower and upper boundary. Let me now consider 100 million as the lower boundary. Even to plan for 100 million people itself is a massive thing. But we don't have the data, we don't have the statistics. And I've just discovered that the major problem is the kind of policy we reel out, either at the state, local, or federal level, bear no relevance to governance. It took Bill Gates to come and tell us in Nigeria that we have neglected health and education. And if you sit people down today, they might not be able to successfully relate what health and education mean to welfare and to the development of human mind. And what is it? In engineering, what is the major function of engineering? Is for you to make your work easier by designing a machine to do what you ordinarily use your hand to do. So in governance, if you don't make it easier by making sure that those you are governing are well taken care of. So whoever says that welfare is not the most important thing in governance is just talking rubbish. And I'll give an example. Mention any country of the world that is developed that does not have welfare program. If you go to America, they say they give their citizens stipend for those who are gone to school, they don't have job. Every week you go and collect meal ticket. If you go to UK, you go and do this. When you don't attend to welfare, health, education, you are talking about infrastructure. What is infrastructure? It's a well-trained person who is healthy, that the result of his productivity will come and build infrastructure. It's not the other way around. You can't build infrastructure to train people. You have to train people, and the consequences of their productivity will now bring out infrastructure. That is it. We are starting the economy on its head in Nigeria. And so if we don't have a well-trained people who don't have good health, in overseas countries in the advanced world, the average age is beyond 70. In Nigeria, by the time you are 50, you start to struggle to live. I want to say this, if you take statistics of Nigeria that are about 50, when you wake up in the morning, some people even take more than 3, 4, 5 grams of drugs to live. Whereas in the advanced country, at 70, they can still do productive work. Mr. Speaker, yes, we are talking about killing. But as I see it today, it is not the killing that is very important now. What are the statistics of why people are being killed? We don't have. So that's why what he said, and what I was ruminating about on how to contribute to the motion now, became very, very clear that, yes, if they ask, who are the people in government? We are the government. But have we done the right thing? That is the question. If you take health sector, we don't know where we are. If you take education, we don't know where we are. We don't even know whether Nigerians are being well properly trained. Finally, Mr. Speaker, this is my thought. The killings everywhere bear a direct relationship to the welfare and the economy of the country. It's as simple as that. It's not about security matter. In mathematics, we say it's directly proportional. It's directly proportional to the level of the economy and the welfare of the people. It's not about security any longer. It is not. So I will control. I know the House will still do that. I will want to use my own to control with the families of those who have always been killed in the last almost 10 years. It is shameful that when you read newspapers in Nigeria today, the first page is killing. The second page On first page and second page is politics. The welfare that will cover all of us is left unattended to. And you don't know what it means. So like I said, condolences to the families of those who have been killed. It's like the whole of the north. Yes, in the southeast, southwest, you have kidnapping and everything, but it looks like the whole of the north is taken over by, I won't call them bandits, I won't call them terrorists, I will say the failure of our governance. Everybody is more of welfare and economic matters. Thank you very much.
Chairman, Rules and Business.
Mr. Speaker, my name is Edward Pojok. I represent the South East. It's also with a heavy heart, but I wish to add a few words in contributing to this very important but sad matter that has been brought to the fore. Mr. Speaker, let us remind ourselves that we are elected to represent our people. Therefore, our people are not here, but we are here on their behalf. So, we are here to express the trauma of Nigerians over the state of affairs of our nation. Mr. Speaker, I support the contributions, particularly of Honorable Nena Bokeje, that whenever there are attacks in Nigeria, all our government does to say we are sending the military. I have spoken on this floor previously that the military are not trained to handle this kind of matters. But some of us, Mr. Speaker, do not get it. What is the training of the military? As a matter of fact, if you go through our constitution, it is to defend the territorial integrity of Nigeria, particularly against external aggression. Now we have some kind of internal insurgency in the country. Are the military suited for that? That's one. Number two, we should put our thinking caps on. I'm sure all of us are aware of what happened in Sri Lanka during the Easter. But what happened immediately thereafter? Health Road here in Nigeria is as if there are those statistics, numbers, motion, day after day, nothing happens. Not one person has paid the price. Not one minister has go. Not one service chief has been dismissed. So what are we telling the world? We are in fact incentivizing criminality. Because if some people have been sacked, people will say, we have to do our job, or otherwise we will pay the price. Again, in Sri Lanka, what happened? We've heard that the security agencies have gone after, because they've been able to identify those who were the culprits, even though they call themselves suicide bombers, but they knew, courtesy the technology and scientific progress, who actually were responsible for those suicide attacks. They went to their neighborhoods, and some people even exploited explosives because they knew that if they allowed the security agencies to get into their premises, they would find that they too were the culprits. But in Nigeria, since last week, when this happened, what has happened? Nobody has been identified as the culprit of this matter. As a matter of fact, all these kidnappings taking place in the country now, we're hearing that even the president's village head or district head has been kidnapped. What message? What impression are we giving outsiders and even internal investors? There is no security at all in Nigeria. Mr. Speaker, let's tell ourselves the truth. Nigeria is becoming a failed state. So if we are a failed state, what do we do when we are failed? This is the next question that we ought to answer. Let us say, first of all, that we are a failed state and therefore begin to address those issues frontally and logically. So, Mr. Speaker, let us not just be coddling on this matter as if we are massaging a very serious ailment that all of us are affected with as a country. Now, it's affecting Katsina State. Last week, when we passed the budget, we were told that, well, the 10 billion naira intervention was for Zamfara State because of some mining activities. Some of our colleagues here raised the issue that, look, this insecurity is happening all over the country. Katsina State, where the president himself comes from, is under siege. Kaduna State is under siege. My state, Plateau, is under siege. We have lost many traditional rulers. Solomon Maren, his first-class chief, was killed. Till today, nothing has happened about it. Mr. Speaker, and these are very, very serious matters. So the way that we are treating these matters with levity is what shows that we are a failed state. Mr. Speaker, it is very sad. But I think the time has come that the spade should be called a spade. Action should be taken. Some people whose jobs is to secure the lives of Nigerians and they're not doing it, they should be shown the way up. And not only sacked, they should also be even be prosecuted because there is negligence on their own part. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, President Chiu Shagari, may so rest in peace, when he was president of Nigeria, saw the wisdom in setting up the National Guard. Some people will say he was a bloody civilian, but there was wisdom in that because the police are trained to secure lives and property in Nigeria. When they overthrew him, the first thing they did was to dismantle the National Guard, and then they said the army will not do the work of the police. Army, what can they do? It's kill and go. Even the thing that they used to accuse the police of doing, that they were collecting bribes on the road, the army, they're not doing that. So, Mr. Speaker, let us go back and do what we are supposed to do. If it means that we have to take some tough actions, we should take those tough actions to save our country. Otherwise, I don't know who else tomorrow will be kidnapped or be killed. It may be I, it may be another member here, it may be somebody else that is privileged. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this privilege.
Honorable MT.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Martia Monguno, Nganzai Federal Constituency of Borno State. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, throughout the course of these hollowed chambers, whenever motions of such a nature comes off, we are addressing the symptoms rather than the cause of this problem of insecurity that has consumed the whole of this country like a monster. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, just like Honorable Inenna said in the course of our submissions, that by 2050 we will be the third most populous country in the world. It's a fact because of the fact that our population is growing at a geometric progression, while correspondingly our infrastructure and our ability to create employment for this our teeming unemployed youth is growing at asymmetric progression. And the only sector that we can invest hugely with a view to creating employment for this teeming unemployed youth is agriculture. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, as I'm speaking to you right now, even having looked at the 2019 budget, the 107 billion naira that was allocated to agriculture is a drop in the ocean. If we are going to really walk the talk of the preaching the gospel of diversification of Nigeria's economy away from oil to agriculture, because it is only through huge investment in agriculture that we can create employment to our teeming unemployed youth. So there is need for the government to come up with a deliberate policy of investing a lot in agriculture by way of training and empowerment of our youths and women that constitute 70% of our population and also are not employed, so that they can have means of livelihood and then turn away from this problem of kidnapping, armed robbery, and what have you. So there is the need for us as a parliament, though we have already passed the 2019 budget, subsequently the incoming parliament, those of us that will be privileged to be in the 9th assembly, to take the bull by the horn and increase the budget of agriculture, at least in tandem with the Maputo Declaration that urges all African countries to devote at least 10% of their national budget to agriculture, so that we can create employment for our teeming unemployed youths. In fact, it is in our enlightened self-interest to do that. If we didn't do that, there will be a time when all of us cannot go to our constituency. Those of us in the Northeast, we have already started facing that, because I cannot go to my constituency now unless I am escorted with 2 armored vehicles. The last time I'm going to my constituency, I was escorted with 2 armored vehicles, one in the front, one in the back, before I can go to my constituency. So if care is not taken, there will be a time, all of us that we are calling ourselves the ruling class of this country, or the so-called elites, if care is not taken and this ugly scenario is not nipped in the bud, I'm telling you there will be a time when you are sleeping in your house, you cannot sleep with your 2 eyes crossed. People will come and take you away. So it is in our enlightened self-interest. Right now in Maiduguri, that is even safer to my constituency. You cannot go around with a jeep, or you cannot go around with a plastic car. By the time you go and stop somewhere, you will see a lot of youths coming to say, you say, guys, you have to give them something. So it is in our enlightened self-interest to invest in agriculture, because agriculture has the capacity to engage this youth and then create employment for themselves, even in our own enlightened self-interest. Thank you.
Okay, Honorable Shekaro, then Babale, who comes from one of the theaters of conflict.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Hassan Adamu Shekarau. I represent Birnin Gwari, your federal constituency. I am from Kaduna State, Mr. Speaker. Once again, with sense of responsibility, I will first join my colleague, the chairman, rules and business, that Nigeria is already a failed state. No apology whatsoever, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. Yes. It will be a disservice for me whenever this kind of issue on security is brought in this house without me saying anything. Because since 2016, I could recall I have been bringing this matter on the floor of this house. The issue brought by my colleague that Savannah should be declared, there should be an emergency declared in Savannah. I said it in 2016 that if we are going to declare a state of emergency, it should be for the entire Northwest zone. And I said it several times that if care is not taken, what is happening in the Northeast is just a child, and now it has become a child play. What is happening in Northwest states now is more than what is happening in Northeast, sir. 2 weeks ago, my village was attacked. All my family were in the village. 6 o'clock in the evening, they attacked the village, killed the policemen that were posted there, burned down the patrol vehicle, killed many people in the village, and went away. And they came, more than 300 of them came on motorbikes. Mr. Speaker, blaming the security agency, let us tell us, we don't have anything like security. They are overstretched. We don't have any equipment. For more than 5 months in my area, they are planning for an operation. Nothing is taking place. People, if they want to travel to Kaduna now, they have to gather themselves and then look for vigilante group that will escort them to Kaduna. And after whatever they are going to, they have to be taken back to Plenary. What are we telling ourselves? We said it several times on this chamber that the needful has to be done. Even if they are going to do it, whatever operation they may call it, we are just doing operation on TV. I don't see where, if security agencies are going to conduct operation, then they go on TV telling people that, and it's just a mere show up. Mr. Speaker and honorable colleagues, Mr. President has to stand up and wake up and do the needful. The issue is no more local, it's no more national, it's international. The earlier we declare this terror attack as an international, with international dimension, the better. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, all our economic and social life has been destroyed. Economically, nobody, I think in Benungwali, can be able to go and farm this year. Nobody. It's just killing every day. So, Mr. Speaker, if you say the government has failed, people will start shouting. What is the essence of government? What is the essence of government? If our people are being killed daily, and we stand here, we say we are leaders. Leaders where? So, Mr. Speaker, this is my contribution. The president and whoever is concerned should be seen to be doing the needful. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Lost and found. Lost but found, Honorable Bashir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm from Kano State, and my name is Babale Bashir. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, thank you very much for giving me this golden opportunity, because I considered it golden, because most likely this will be my last contribution with regard to the issue of security after my 8 years in this chamber. But Mr. Speaker, honorable colleague, it is quite disgusting, it is quite heart bleeding that after 8 years, we started 8 years ago, and until today, we are deliberating on this issue. Honorable colleagues, truth is a wound, and it is only justice that can heal it. This is something which has been in the front burner of our discussion for over 8 years. But until today, we are yet to get a solution to it, either from the legislators or from the executive. It is all about debate, open debate, contribution, open contribution, presentation, open presentation. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, if I may recall, some 6 years ago, when we are having the issue of Boko Haram, there are allegations and counter-allegations, Mr. Speaker. With due respect to whoever will feel like maybe my contribution is centered on an individual or a group of people. When the Boko Haram was at its heat between 2011 to 2012, Mr. Speaker, there were allegations from a school of thought from the north that the government of PDP was behind Boko Haram. Likewise, there was counter-allegation by the school of thought from the PDP people that the people from the north were the people behind Boko Haram because we want to snatch power from President Goodluck and Mayl Jonathan. As God may have it, Mr. Speaker, as that passed away, President Goodluck Jonathan appointed a northerner, not only a northerner, a great-grandson of Sheikh Usman Abudu as NSA. And an Ardahal Army, retired Army General from the north, from Zamfara State, as Defense Minister. Until the expiration of President Jonathan's tenure in 2015, we were unable to bring an end to Boko Haram. The same thing when Buhari took over. Today we have President Muhammadu Buhari as president. We have the Chief of Army Staff from the north, the Chief of Air Staff from the north, the IG Police from north, DG SSS from north, NSA from north, Controller General of Prisons from north, Controller General of Custom from north, Defense Minister, sir, from north, sir, until today, Minister of Interior from the north, who doubled as Minister of Interior and Police Affairs, Mr. Speaker, from the north. But Honorable colleagues, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, everything was doing well. The Arabs always said, if you are in a cause, you must pursue it vigorously. Mr. Speaker, an opportunity is given to me by Nigerians to serve for 8 years. So I have a mandate, I have a responsibility to speak. My presentation is not centered against anybody. It is presentation on behalf of Nigerians. Because in the past, we are only hearing it happening in the northeast, kidnapping in the southeast. But when it started 3 years ago, the way Shekara put it, almost 4 to 5 times, I said we better tackle it before it spread like a wildfire. It even provoked me that there was a time I said we should summon, despite the fact I know we don't have the power to summon the Grand Commander. But it's just like a mild invitation for us to rub minds together to see what is happening and deliberate. Because I'm sure in the representation of 469 people, there are people with informed information, first-hand information to tell Mr. President about what is happening with regard to security. Mr. Speaker, we need to tell ourselves the truth. Where do we have the problem? Some people are suggesting long-term solution. When you talk of agriculture, yes, agriculture is good, but it is long-term solution. It's just like for someone to go to as a doctor and tell you that I'm having a headache. Instead of you to give him Panadol, you just tell him wait until we produce a vaccine so that we can give you immunity against headache. What Nigerians people need now is provision of security of life and property. Mr. Speaker, if someone is talking about agriculture, let me tell Mungunu, even if you bring the entire farm machineries, agricultural machineries from the world to Nigeria, now people in the north cannot go to farm. People cannot go to farm. The issue is not about farming now. People need solution to this issue of insecurity first. Mr. Speaker, our people cannot go to market, village markets today. So trading has collapsed. The issue of social interaction has collapsed because people can no longer go attend funeral. Because I had there was a time in Funtu, in Sabo local government just last month, when they killed, when people were about to bury the people, the lost one, the people resurfaced again and people had to take to their heels. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, we need to tell ourselves one question.
What is the foreign reserve?
Where are those people coming from? Where do they get their weapons? Because the weapons they are using are sophisticated weapons, Mr. Speaker. If IT will tell Nigerians that over 1,000 lives were perished in the first quarter of 2019, and over 600 people were kidnapped in the first quarter of 2019, I'm not praying for the best thing to happen, Mr. President and Mr. Speaker. We need to be mindful. We need to tell ourselves where are those people coming from, where are they having access to their weapons. Mr. Speaker, last 2 years, we had a solution. But I think Nigeria is meant for elites, not for commoners. When the airport in Abuja was shut down and it was transferred to Kaduna, adequate security was given from Abuja to Kaduna. Throughout the 3 months, there was no report of armed banditry, kidnapping, or any other sort of criminal activities between Abuja and Kaduna. But immediately they are done with the Kaduna issue, they packed the security agents, the whole issue resurfaced again, and this is 2 years, we are yet to do anything. All we do is maybe to go and conduct a show-up. After 2 weeks, the IG will go, the chief of defense staff will go, the chief of naval staff will go, and it will be a show-up after 2 weeks. Last 3 months, the IG was on air telling Nigerians the road was safe for transporters, for commuters. But Mr. Speaker, on Sunday there was kidnapping along Abuja, Kaduna. As if those criminal people undermine the state, the following day on Monday they resurface again. Tell me, even in a village, how can a thief go to a village today and have the goal of going to that the same village the following day? So, Mr. Speaker, we need to ask ourselves those fundamental questions. Where are those people coming from? Where are they having access to their weapons? And the best thing to do within the remaining few days of this assembly, Mr. Speaker, I said it before, I want to state it again. It is not only the responsibility, yes, in the Constitution is the responsibility of the executive, but this is the responsibility of the state. We are part of the state. Mr. Speaker, we need to engage the executive before the expiration of this assembly and find a lasting solution to this problem. That is my take. Thank you very much, my colleagues.
I guess so many members want to contribute. If we can keep our contributions within 2 minutes so that we can take more intervention, because it's a very, very serious issue as of now. So we'll take a few more from this row. Honorable Gabriel, Africa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. Gabriel Onyengife is my name. I represent Uyi. I am a federal constituency. I'm from Anambra State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I rise to support the motion as moved by Honorable Safana. It's really an unfortunate incident. Mr. Speaker, from his story, there was even trouble for the dead as they could not be buried because the bandits came for those who came to bury them. Mr. Speaker, we have consistently said and cited constitutional provisions that it is the responsibility of government to provide for security of lives and property of the people. Mr. Speaker, some speakers, honorable members, have concluded it by saying that it is a failed state that we are in this country, Nigeria. Mr. Speaker, government that is supposed to provide security for lives and property is made of 3 arms: the executive, the judiciary, and of course, number 1 is the legislature. Has the legislature failed Nigerians in the provision of security of lives and property? The answer is that the legislature has not failed Nigerians. Mr. Speaker, I have gone through volumes of our laws and I have not found enough lacuna in our laws to blame the legislature for the failed nature in the provision and the security of lives and property of the country. Not at all. Mr. Speaker, a lot of colleagues have referred to the security agencies and their failure to live up to their expectations. Mr. Speaker, let me ask this question. The military, the immigration, the police, and all other armed agencies of government that have the constitutional or statutory mandate to provide security, are they under the control of the legislature or the judiciary? Who controls them? Who appoints and fires them? Mr. Speaker, if one has the powers, constitutionally or statutorily, to appoint somebody as a security chief, Honorable Babale had an enumeration of those who had our security agencies, both in appointment and in the employment of the apparatus of state security. Who has the constitutional powers to hire or fire them? Is it not the executive? Is it not Mr. President? Let us call a spade is that the willpower to provide security for lives and property of Nigeria has not been provided by the executive and Mr. President. We must say that. Mr. Speaker, can we ask ourselves whether there is any state in this country that is safe? One state in this country that is devoid of either kidnapping, of either banditry, or either armed robbery, or Boko Haram, or terrorism, or one thing or another. Any one state in this country. The answer is none. Therefore, Nigeria is not a safe country. Whether we blame it on agriculture, that country, but better said, which other thing can we do when we are not secure? Can we even be here when we are not secure? Mr. Speaker, the executive should take the lead and save Nigeria from where we are. We are in a failed security situation that needs to be rescued by the executive. That's my submission, and I so support the motion.
Last from this block, Honorable Nur Sharif. Then we'll take few from this one.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Distinguished honorable colleagues, my name is Mohammed Nur Sharif, member representing Bama Gala Kalabal Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I'm from Borno State. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, in this 8th Assembly, we have discussed this issue over and over and over again. But the major problem is how do we get solution to those problems that has been facing this council. Mr. Speaker, I rise to suggest that the members' House of Representatives or the National Assembly should initiate and engage the executive within a very short period of time to come up with a very short-term solution to this problem that is going on. The killings is getting too much, Mr. Speaker. We need to stop it. And how do we stop it? We must engage the executive to come up with a short-term solution, because we know the causes of this problem is all about poverty, unemployment, but to solve that problem, such problem it will take long-term solution. But for short-term solution, we must engage the executive to find a method or a solution that will stop all these crises, because it's all over. We've been speaking on Boko Haram. Up to today, Boko Haram do exist in the fringes of the Northeast. They are still there, and we keep warning that if we don't stop such thing, it will get into the Northwest. If we don't stop it, it will get into other parts of the country. Mr. Speaker, let us avoid the problem of DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo. We have resources abundant in the North Mineral resources, and there must be some international competitors that are coming in to destabilize this country. If we don't get a solution, we will be nothing but just like Republic of Democratic Republic of Congo, while they are so rich and yet very poor, and that's the stage we are getting there. So, Mr. Speaker, I want this House, by your humble self, to lead and initiate and immediate security summit with the executive, so that we can have a permanent or short-term solution to this problem. I saw summit. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Goni, then Sergius. Right. So will run off for this room.
Right, Honorable Speaker, Yakubu Dogara, initiator of Northeast Development Commission. My name is Honorable Goni Bukar Lawan, member representing Burusari, Gaidami Nusari. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Yobe State. Mr. Speaker, let me first of all support the motion just moved by Honorable Sapana. Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir, we have the challenges of security in this country. We started witnessing this kind of insecurities from 7th Assembly to date. I presented so many motions, so many shouting in this house. Members are living witness. But later on, we realized that this shouting or presenting motion cannot work. We have the security
intelligence securities, especially the policemen and the military men, we have them on ground. But the problem is that some of my colleagues just said the lack of commitment by the executive. Now I'm just giving you the example what happened in Yobe State. Now we go back home. We gathered all the stakeholders from the state. What is the way out? What is the solution of this in regard to this insecurity in our state? Then we sit down, we invited all our traditional rulers, all the stakeholders, including Abuja people. We sat down. Then from there, we took a decision. Now we invited all this representative of the security of the state. We sit down with them. Now Yobe, we don't have a single Boko Haram in Yobe State. All the 17 local government that we have in the state, all of them are in local government. We don't have IDP, one IDP in Yobe State because of the commitments of the executive. If there is no commitment from the executive, Mr. Speaker, I'm telling you, these issues of security, insecurity cannot be over. We must to go back home, gather maybe the governors, tell them the truth, let them be committed. That is the only way out. In the assistance for the security, we know what is going on in Yobe State. Even before their benefits, our governor, he earmarked something for the security. Every Monday, he's held a meeting with the security every Friday. And also, we appointed vigilante in all the villages of Yobe State, especially the boundary. Movement of one car, before you know, whether if you are elected, you see here calls. We have seen vehicle, we have seen so kind of Plenary going there. They are informing us what is going on in the state. I see no reason consider people. You don't need to talk to your president. You just go back to your state with your governor. Just discuss. Invite all the stakeholders. If we continue making noise like that, cannot work. You can see the old military policemen are posted to Yobe. Some of them are Igbo. They don't even know the terrain. That's why you see we give them the vigilante, in order to, lead them to the insecurity place. So, Mr. Speaker, I support this motion, but I'm suggesting, Mr. Speaker, being a representative, just honorable member suggested to say that we have all the senior officers of the security officers are from the north. Even if all the Nigerians are from the north, if there is no commitments of the governors, I don't think this insecurity cannot work. Being a leader, the Senate President is from north. You, as the Speaker, you are from north. Invite all the governors and sit down. Let them committed. Give them example from Yobe State. As I'm telling you, Mr. Speaker, you know now, since we came out, we shouted in this house for insecurity. Have you been shouting again? Because we are safe now. Because of the commitment of our governor and the executive. So please let our governor. We don't have power to call them to do this, but let them please rise up and protect the life and property of the masses of this country. That was my contribution, Mr. Speaker.
Sajos and Fulata on this row. Now, Mobi, you didn't raise your hand before. I recognize them, so after them, I'm moving to the other row.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My highly esteemed colleagues, I'm Sergius Ose Ogun. I represent Esan Northeast, Esan Southeast, and I'm from Edo State. Mr. Speaker, I have two rural road projects going on right now from the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development in my constituency. Yesterday evening, I was called that those on the project, the contractor on the project, well, we say we should call the herdsmen, they are bandits now, kidnapped 6 of the people walking on the rural road, surface dressing. It's not asphalted. So I didn't really expect that kind of contractor that I don't even know anyway to have security men with his staff. So I had 2 escaped. They have 4 right now. They have called the police. The vigilantes are in the bush as we speak right now. So I should have come with a motion today, but I just felt, what's in it? Because every time we come here and discuss these matters, now, Honorable Safana is from the president's state. Is that bad? So it's not an issue that that the president is not aware of. The last time I heard his in-law, the in-law of his ADC, was kidnapped. So I agree completely with my brother, Sharif, Honorable Sharif. We should have an engagement with the executive, and the president of this country should speak to Nigerians. Every time we come here and we have this debate and nothing happens. This is not a case of carrying policemen. Very soon you will not have enough policemen to escort people anymore. Because there was somebody on channels, I think it was a couple of days back, that was indicating that there's every likelihood that the security agents are involved in this. They were talking about the kidnap on the Abuja-Kaduna road. That they said something about some of them saying that they should pay the ransom quickly because they have to explain their whereabouts or something. So it's a summit or an engagement that should happen like yesterday, Mr. Speaker. And like I said, the president must speak to Nigerians. We can't keep quiet about this and come here and just talk and go home. Each time I have opportunity to talk about this, I keep referring to investors, foreign investors. We are going to pass the budget today. There's barely $30 billion for a population that's over 200 million people. And we are talking about we cannot develop, we cannot employ people. Honorable Mogunu mentioned agriculture. But the projects I'm talking about in my constituency, they're actually rural roads going into farm settlements so that the farmers can bring out their produce. And yet, there's even no simple security for this to happen. So, Mr. Speaker, I don't want to go into the issue of local government and even states because they don't exist. If you go into that, we'll be talking about restructuring today. I know it's not going to happen today. So I will urge this House to support this motion, and we should try and do that engagement as soon as possible. Thank you.
Flatter, as quickly as you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name is Abubakar Hassan Fulata. I represent Birniwa, Krika Samba, Uli Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from the Gao State. Mr. Speaker, what we are witnessing in Nigeria today, to me, it seems as if there is a reenactment of the Lawrence Anini scenario in the defunct Bendel State. If we remember, one notorious armed robber called Lawrence Anini terrorized Bendel State. He was mystified as if it was a spirit. A lot of effort went into arresting Lawrence Anini, and he defied every logic. It took the wisdom of a police officer in the person of Sapari Osayande to arrest Lawrence Anini. And how did he do that? He got all the entire police force in Bendel, the Bendel State, transferred out of the state. And in the end, he was arrested. He defied arrest because Lawrence Anini was collaborating with the police. At present, what's happening is that our security members of the security forces are actively involved in this armed robbery and banditry. Because a lot of money is involved, policemen, the military are all involved. We should call it a spade a spade. The state must act. 2 weeks ago, Mr. Speaker, I left Abuja at 6 p.m. traveling to Kaduna. On my way, I met an armed robbery checkpoint. They were all dressed in military uniform. They stopped me Fortunately for my driver, he refused to stop. 100 yards away from where the armed robbery is taking place was also a checkpoint manned by policemen. They asked us, how did you pass those people in military uniform? Say it was a miracle. Say they are armed robbers. I say, you know you are armed robbers. The way I do what I do in here. If you know that those people, who are the people in military uniform, are armed robbers, what are you doing there? So, Mr. Speaker, the answer is just very simple. Members of the security agencies are involved in this banditry. They are involved in this armed robbery. They are involved in this kidnapping. Last week, a court in Akwa Ibom passed
you said that there's a possibility that they are involved or they are involved. If you don't have any concrete evidence, please.
Mr. Speaker, I just gave an example. A scenario. It happened to me personally 2 weeks ago. I made a double checkpoint. My driver did not stop. The armed robbers were in military uniform. We passed them 100 yards away from where the armed robbery is taking place. It's another checkpoint manned by policemen. They were asking me, how did you pass those people there in the military uniform? They are armed robbers. They were asking me. And I said, what are you doing? You are supposed to be a policeman. What are you doing? They are armed robbers. You know they are robbing people. And I was giving an example. Last week, a court in Akwa Ibom passed the sentence of 3 policemen. There was an abduction, and ransom was to be collected. The ransom money was taken. And one who went to collect money, 3 policemen. They went to collect the ransom. So, Mr. Speaker, we must have an agency that will police the police itself. We must have an agency that will police the army. We must have an agency that will police the DSS. Because as it is a very dangerous and frightening situation whereby there is, from all the indications, active collaboration by some, not all, by some members of the armed forces in this case. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Chika Raji Moriki.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, my dear colleagues. My name is Abubakar Chika Adamu. I represent Shiroro Rafumia Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Niger State. Mr. Speaker, the issue of armed banditry, whether kidnapping, is so alarming. It has become a norm today in Nigeria. No human being you will ask about the stories. You will ask about the stories in his constituency.
Honorable members, please.
About kidnapping. Mr. Speaker, as I mentioned with you, I share the pain of Honorable Safana because I had been in this quagmire for a very long period of time. On Wednesday, a village called Madaka, 25 kilometers from my hometown, Kagara. On Wednesday, that was yesterday night, these people went to Madaka, picked 5 people, and left. As I'm talking to you, over 100 youth who are supposed to be farmers are now in Kagara town doing nothing. They have come to seek refuge. Mr. Speaker, let me be very frank with you. The security agencies are not helping matters. Mr. Speaker, go to the railway station either in Abuja or in Kaduna. You find a military general is afraid to move from Abuja to Kaduna or from Kaduna to Abuja by road. So what are you saying? Or what are you giving, what impression are you giving to the citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria about security situation? If a general in military uniform will be dropped by a staff car with flag and even with a star or 2 stars on that vehicle, will drop at the railway station and enter the train just because he feels unsecured when he follows this road. Mr. Speaker, we need to rejig the system. We need to check the system. We need to change the status quo. We need to develop a strategy that will take us out of this doldrum. Mr. Speaker, every country in the world, if it is faced with this problem, I want to tell you, must adopt something. What do we do? One thing we must do is that we need to develop a security agency which may involve even the custom, the police, or whatever, and train them on how to face this armed banditry. Where we do not, Mr. Speaker, I want to tell you, all of us cannot move from one point to the other in the next 1 year. Somebody was giving me a story yesterday. Dangote went to the mosque. When he went to the mosque, he disguised. But before you know it, they started saying, this is Dangote. He find it very difficult for him to get into his vehicle and zoom away. So if we check the issue of unemployment, we refuse to check the issue of unemployment, we leave it that way, that is the source of all this armed banditry. Now, I'm giving you an example. The 100 youths that left Madaka village to Kagara town in my constituency yesterday, they have nothing doing. And they are easily targeted for these armed bandits to recruit and then join them because they can no longer go to the farms. And then what happened? Mr. Speaker, we are talking about infrastructure. Today, I am sure the government cannot build the road from Kaduna to my village. Kaduna Binungwari to my village because no worker will allow himself to go there and work. And if you are talking about infrastructure development and you do not secure your citizens, you cannot develop any infrastructure because the opportunity or the availability of the space that is secured for you to do that is not there. We must do something, Mr. Speaker. I want to tell you, we must do something. Some people have security, but their security is not enough if the nation is not secured in totality. Today, Mr. Speaker, like what people did say, you find it on the media that the Magadin Daura, who lives few houses to the house of Mr. President in Daura, who is married to Mr. President's sister, whose the president-in-law is married to his daughter, today is being kidnapped. Some people came with guns in a Peugeot 406 vehicle, as I was reliably informed by the member representing that constituency. Went and picked this man. Mr. Speaker, where are we going? Mr. Speaker, I cannot go to my village and sleep. I cannot go to my village and spend a night as I'm speaking to you. For the last 1 year, wallahi, I can't go to my village and sleep. I feel very insecure. And this is where I find myself. Mr. Speaker, it is terrible. It is terrible. We have to do something about it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Raji,
thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Wali Raji. I represent a federal constituency of Lagos State. The primary responsibility of a government is security of lives and property. But it is most unfortunate that this is an area of governance that we appear to be failing. Kidnapping, when it started some few years back, it was concentrated to some parts of the country. But today, it has assumed a national dimension, and no area in Nigeria is safe.
Silence, please.
We are talking of kidnapping.
Order, honorable members, please.
In Kaduna State, in Katsina State, some few years, about 2 years back, I had cause to move motions on 2 occasions on the kidnapping of students in my constituency. But today, our economy is under threat. The cost of constructing roads and executing projects in the country today has gone up due to the provision, the need to make provision, financial provision for security in areas where projects are being executed. Foreign direct investment that will require is now being jeopardized because no investor will bring his resources to a country where there is no security. Even our efforts, our desire to diversify our economy through investment in agriculture is also now under serious threat, because to invest, agricultural activities takes place predominantly in the rural areas. If people are not safe in the urban area, who will risk his life going to rural areas to invest in agriculture? It has therefore become expedient that drastic action must be taken, because the kidnappers are now becoming daring. If they could go to the next door neighbor of Mr. President and kidnap a person, a Magaji or whatever the man is called, then it means then that everybody is a potential victim of kidnapping in this country. And it requires a drastic action. Now, there is no doubt about it. Our security apparatus is failing, and it is time for the overhaul of the security apparatus in this country. Mr. Speaker, that's my contribution. Thank you.
Moriki. Thank you. Right, Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Abubakar Hussaini Moriki. I represent the people of Shinkafi and Zulmi Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I am from Zamfara State. Mr. Speaker, let me start by thanking you and indeed this hallowed chamber for giving me the opportunity to contribute on this motion brought by Honorable Safana. And indeed, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I find it expedient to contribute for two reasons. Mr. Speaker, one, Honorable Safana, we are sharing border with him. In other words, by the local governments that, one of the local governments that I represent is sharing border with his local government. Indeed, whatever happens in Safana, you will find that it will have an effect in Zulmi local government. Zulmi local government through Basari, you can reach Safana. So I think, right, Honorable Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, I find it expedient to contribute on this motion, because anything happening in Safana, and indeed in all the villages in the local government areas that he represents, will also have a negative effect in one of the local governments that I represent. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, for me to keep quiet on an issue which is bordering on insecurity in this hallowed chamber, I don't think I would be doing justice to my people. Because this is one area that I personally, and indeed alongside with some of my colleagues from Zamfara State, we brought at the floor of this house, at this hallowed chamber, severally motions bordering, pertaining on insecurity. At a point, Mr. Speaker, I was even being tagged as a master of motions bordering on insecurity. I had to crave the indulgence of the Honorable House to accept at one time for me to bring before this House an incident that happened, because the issues were becoming alarming, the incidences are becoming many, the cases are becoming, severally many, in many affected areas. So, Mr. Speaker, I find it very important and expedient to contribute on this motion, not only to support, but to say that anything that happens in that local government in Savannah also will have a negative effect in Zulmi local government, which is one of the local governments that I represent. Mr. Speaker, as I'm speaking to you now, just about in less than 24 hours, about 22 hours yesterday in the night, armed bandits invaded one government girls secondary school in my hometown, and that secondary school is opposite my own personal house. Mr. Speaker, this is a government girls secondary school that has a population of more than about 1,000 students in that school. Even though we are still trying to verify, we are still trying to ascertain, we are still trying to verify the actual incident that happened. What happened? What was the issue? Whether there was any case of the abduction of the girls. But fortunately, the preliminary reports that we are receiving, the bandits were not able to go to the students' hostel. Indeed, it was in the night, but they were able to abduct 6 casual laborers, utility workers in the school who are residing by the fence of the secondary school. But what is important, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, these bandits have already started gaining entrance, gaining access into secondary schools, and not only secondary schools, but into girls' secondary schools. Mr. Speaker, the danger here is that what happened in Yobe, what happened in Bordeaux, and indeed what happened in the northeast is now happening in the northwest, is now happening in Zamfara state, is now happening in my own local government. So, Mr. Speaker, as I wanted to gather all the information and unveil it, probably at an appropriate time, but I find it important and I find it that it's necessary for me to contribute on this motion brought about by Safana and to broach this issue that the question of insecurity in this country and indeed in the north, particularly in the north, is becoming serious, is becoming alarming, and something has to be done. Mr. Speaker, you would recall that in one of the prayers, in one of the motions I brought before this hallowed chamber, was that any measure, any action, any intervention that is going to happen, that is going to be taken by the federal government together with the state, that intervention, that measure has to be coordinated, it has to be sustainable, and it has to be all-encompassing. Mr. Speaker, we should not operate Halibin Kunama or Halibin whatever it is in one enclave area and leaving another area at vulnerable, at a risk. So whatever it will take, this insecurity challenge is becoming alarming in the northwest, and a coordinated intervention, military intervention has to be evolved, has to be put in place in order to bring an end to these insecurity challenges. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much, and let me stop here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I remain Ogwede Ihama. I represent the people of Oredo Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Edo State. Let me align with my colleagues that have spoken on this very serious issue, and to say that at least there is one subject matter that we have not played politics here today. The elections are over and we are speaking with one voice. Mr. Speaker, my colleague behind talked about the Anini saga in Edo State,
and how federal government brought competence to play in tackling that issue. Mr. Speaker, then DIG Parisayen then had to be deployed back to Bende State to help the situation, and within 2 weeks, he was able to track down Anini and his team because he was competent. Mr. Speaker, today we see a situation where heads of security agencies have their tenures extended, even when kidnapping is on the increase, killing is on the high end. The heads of security, they have their tenures extended. Mr. Speaker, today we are speaking on the same subject matter that we have dwelt on in the last 3.5 years. Unfortunately, having discussed this subject matter for 3.5 years, INEC decided to extend Mr. President's tenure during the elections of February 2019. Mr. Speaker, while I sympathize with my colleague, the mover of the motion, it will not be out of place to also sympathize with President Buhari and his immediate family, because we have been reliably informed by the local government chairman of Daura that the insecurity situation in this country is knocking at a kilometer away from President Buhari's home. What that means is that the government of President Buhari has failed in terms of security. If a kilometer from the president's home, his in-law and the ADC, the wife's father, to the Majarin Gari Daura, who's the ADC's father or the wife's father to the president, was kidnapped. Mr. Speaker, just yesterday, we have also been informed that 12 girls were kidnapped in Zamfara as well. If we take a holistic view of what is happening in our country today, we will be able to put from infrastructural development, like the Deputy Speaker said, to education, like Honorable Nena said, to economic decay, like the other colleague said, and know that in a holistic view, this government has not been able to address very salient issues that has led to the breakdown of law and order and the insecurity in this country. Mr. Speaker, if the economic situation of this country was in a good shape, if these youths had good jobs, I'm sure the situation today won't be this bad. In 2015, President Buhari's administration talked about PDP and the decay that PDP had caused. In 2016, they repeated the same thing. In 2016, they repeated it was PDP. In 2018, they said it was PDP. Today, we know that under universal basic education, I've had the opportunity of traveling to most of the states in the Northwest to see a lot of abandoned schools, emergency schools that were built under President Jonathan in the northwestern part of this country. Mr. Speaker, it will interest you to know that these buildings are new, these buildings are furnished, but these buildings have not been put to use because people they don't want to go to school. Now President Buhari today must take a serious approach to this issue. 1 kilometer from his residence means that it's a serious affair. So I want to strongly support and praise the statements of Honorable Babale that of all these numerous heads of securities from the north, the executive must take a critical reappraisal and begin to fire those that are not competent. Let us take sentiments aside and let us bring competence to the front burner. Hunger does not know political party, nor does it know religion or geographical ethnic background. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to join every other speaker here today that have practically submitted that this government has failed in its approach to security challenges, and also use the opportunity to lend my voice to the fact that
silence, please.
The president must take a different approach.
Mr. Speaker,
he must look at
the man on the floor has overtaken his 2 minutes. He has taken more than 2 minutes.
This issue must be taken from the angle where everyone will be stakeholders. Even our traditional rulers, our community leaders, everyone has a role to play. But the president of this country, who the responsibility is saddled upon to ensure security of lives and property, must take charge from now. So I want to join every other colleague of mine, and I want to thank you for this opportunity. While again sympathize with President Buhari and his family for the kidnap of the in-law of his ADC and all those that have been kidnapped, I'm sure that we will begin to take a different approach if the insecurity situation is 1 kilometer away from the family home of Mr. President. Thank you very much, and may God bless us.
Last from this row, Honorable Abiente.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, and my colleagues. I remain Awaji Nombek Dagomie Abiente. I represent Anthony Opobo, Nkoro Federal Constituency, Mr. Speaker, and my colleagues. Mr. Speaker, in one of the holy books, a question is contained therein. Can two work together except they agree? The answer most likely is no. We are here convinced that we have an issue, we have a problem on our hands, the challenge of security. Outside of this place, has it been accepted? Is it acknowledged that indeed we have an issue with regards to security? Let us be patient and watch items, watch interviews on the various television channels. You will listen and hear people defend the process. Some will even tell you that Nigeria is more secured as we speak. It simply means we are not on the same page. And if we're not on the same page, if we're not in agreement that indeed there's a problem with security in this country, we will go nowhere. Mr. Speaker, my colleagues, it's just like rain. It has been raining on some other people's houses. When it was raining, others were clapping, they were playing. Now the rain has moved, and gradually it is almost covering the entire space of Nigeria. When all of us have felt the rains, probably if it too comes with flooding, we will have a need to sit back and understand what to do with this. You cannot solve this problem using the same solutions that have not provided answers. We have had incremental budgets for defense, incremental budget for the security services. If you do the correlation, are we getting the results expected from increasing the resources for defense and security? The answer is no. It therefore requires an alternative approach. We are having more battalions, more divisions, more special forces established here and there. Are we getting answers from that? The answer is no. There is a relationship between the economy and security. I would suggest, rather than keep funding the defense, rather than increasing monies for the security agencies, let us retool and take the monies into productive areas that will guarantee jobs for our people. Time has come because the rain has gotten to everybody for us to also look at the issue of state police. It was right in these chambers that we voted against state police, devolving power so that we can have state police and better secure ourselves right in these chambers. I think the time has come for us to look at ourselves and take the decisions that will ultimately guarantee that we have a better secured tomorrow. Mr. Speaker and my colleagues, we may not have the time, we may not have that opportunity because it is lost. But for those who will still be here, let us, from day one, try to divorce our various political leanings from the issues of state. Time was, if this debate had been called, some will speak in favor of party A, others will speak in favor of party D, but I think we have all felt the pains, and we're all feeling the pains. My brother, Safana, I feel your pains. Our heart goes out to all of us, and I urge us to think as Nigerians, work as Nigerians. Let us put Nigeria and the security of Nigeria first. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
This row will take 3 maximum. Honorable ID Gang.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I remain ID Gang member representing Barikiladi Riom Federal Constituency. I'm from Plateau State. I rise to lend my voice to this very important motion that has to do with the state of security of the nation, particularly as it affects the very unfortunate events and killings that took place in Katsina. I want to let Honorable Sapana know that our hearts go with you on this matter, indeed as it is with other parts of the country that are facing the same challenge. This issue is such that the state of the security of the nation is getting worse by the day, such that states that were safe or considered safe before are now being devastated by banditry, killings, kidnapping, and all sorts of criminality. The political economy of insecurity, as is being analyzed in this floor today, has led to a lot of lamentation. And indeed, we have diagnosed it for so long. I would want to prescribe a solution and a way forward. And that is the fact that we as Parliament have a responsibility to play, that if the current security architecture of the nation is failing and has failed, we cannot continue to do the same thing and expect a different result. To that extent, I would want to align myself on the issue of the fact that we need to empower states to establish state police